Hello! Today I'm going to be talking about item banks in new quizzes. In other videos, I've talked about new quizzes and their general attributes, as well as classic quizzes, accommodations and moderations, and so on. So in this video, I'm going to be focusing on item banks. You'll need to be logged into Canvas and in the course that you'd like to work in. In your course, you're going to select quizzes from the course navigation menu, and then what we're going to want to do is click on a new quiz that we've already created or create a new quiz from scratch. Either way, you must be in the builder for new quizzes to access item banks. There's nowhere on the quiz page to access item banks. You can access question banks, but that's for classic quizzes only. We want item banks for new quizzes. I'm going to go ahead and click on a new quiz I've already created. I can change the settings if I like, but what's most important is I click the bottom right button, Build, so that I can go to the new quiz builder. In the top right hand corner, there are 3 dots. This is a hidden menu, and I'm going to want to click on Manage Item Banks. This is how I access my item banks for new quizzes. It's important to note that the question banks are only for classic quizzes and the item banks are only for new quizzes. You cannot interchange them. You cannot pull questions from the question banks into new quizzes, and you cannot pull item bank questions into classic quizzes. The question banks are only for classic and the item banks are only for quizzes. So if you ever need help in Canvas tutorials or guides, you'll need to look up item banks for new quizzes. Now, with that said, if we want to create a new bank, in the top right corner, we can click the blue button that says Plus Bank. Here, I'm going to give this bank a name. So, New Bank 200 or 2.0. Once I've clicked OK, you'll notice that it will show up in my list of banks. To add questions to my new Bank 200, I'll go ahead and click New Bank 200. It says there's no questions in this bank yet, and that's no problem. I can add new questions by clicking the plus new button up in the right-hand corner. I can add any type of questions I want to this bank. However, it's important to note that when you create an item bank, Canvas does not know the difficulty levels of these types of questions. So I would recommend that you create an item bank for easy level questions, a different item bank for medium level questions, and a separate item bank for difficult questions, and then yet a different item bank for essay prompts, making sure that the types of questions and the difficulty levels are very similar in the item banks. This is because Canvas is going to select a random set of questions, depending on how many you ask it to, from this item bank. So for example, maybe this item bank is going to be true-false questions that I create that are very easy to answer. So this is going to be the easy section of my exam or quiz. So let's take a moment and add some true-false questions. Now that I've added a couple of questions to my new bank, do you know how to use these new quiz item banks? True or false? Is this activity fun? And is this video helpful? True or false? I can actually use the questions from this item bank in my new quiz. So again, you can add as many of these as you'd like. So you can add another true-false question here. Again, true or false. Select true or false and click done. And we'll add it here to your questions. You can click on it to see what the question answers are that you have. So now that we've got 4 questions in this true-false, very easy, very terribly written new item bank, we can go back. Sorry, we're going to go back to our quiz. So down at the bottom, I'm going to return back to our builder. And then at the bottom of the page, maybe I want to add some new bank questions. So these are new bank questions I've already added. So I'm going to click the plus sign here. And what I want to do, instead of selecting a question, I'm going to select this little piggy bank in the top right corner of the pop-up box. This allows me to access my item banks. So that new bank 200 that we did, I can go ahead and click on. Now I can click and add each one individually, and it will add the question directly to my exam. Now, I don't want to do this because I want to randomize my exam for students. That way, it curbs cheating and, it varies the exam, so on and so forth. So instead of selecting the plus sign to add each individual question, I'm going to actually select all random. What this is going to do is create a item bank pool for Canvas to select from. I'll go ahead and click the X when I'm done, and I'll scroll back down. If I don't want these individual questions, I can always remove them by clicking on the trash can here. Now you'll notice it says here new bank 200 at the bottom, and it says all questions pulled from new bank, and there's 1 point per question. Now I don't want it to pull every single question from the new bank because that's not the point of the bank. I want Canvas to randomly select a couple of questions from that bank so that it randomizes my exam for students. I'm going to go ahead and click on the pencil to edit. And then once I'm here, I'm going to select randomly select questions. I'm going to ask it to select 2 out of all of the questions from the item bank, and I'm actually going to reduce the points to ½ a point per question since they were true, false, and very easy. Next, I'll click on done, and it'll change 2 questions pulled randomly from the bank, new bank 200. That means every time a student opens this quiz, it will give 2 of those 4 questions we created to that student. And now they're going to be ½ a point per question. If I want to preview this and see how it works, I can click the preview button in the top right corner. This is what students will see. They'll see first the title and the name, your stimulus that we added, and then down at the bottom the questions. And here it's pulled these 2 questions from our item bank. So notice it doesn't have all 4 of the questions we made, it only has these 2. If I exit preview and do the preview again, it will randomly select different questions from that item bank. Do you know how to use new quizzes, and is this video helpful? So as you can see, every time the student takes it, or if a different student takes it, it will randomly select 2 questions from the item bank. An important thing to note about item banks as well is if you have duplicate questions in the item banks, Canvas is not smart enough to only select 1. So for example, if we had the same exact questions in the item bank and it said select 2, it's possible that Canvas will repeat the same 2 questions in the same quiz for a student. So do be careful with your item banks. Make sure that the level of the question, the style of the question are very similar, and then also you do not have any duplicates in your item banks. So this has been an overview of item banks and how to use them in new quizzes, and I hope it's been helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful day.